54 seconds to show you how your heart was torn by disillusion, trapped by all the wind that you created, shaking with the fear. Give way to the sun, it will remind you there are better days when you'll be smiling. Stop the apathy before it swallows us. Am I just the same? We need empathy. Do you believe me? We need empathy. Time to retrieve it. We need empathy. I really want it. Give me anything, however small. Empathy, do you believe me? We need empathy, time to retrieve it. We need empathy, I really want it. Give me anything, however small. I have 45 seconds to show you how your heart was torn by disillusion. Give way to the sun, it will remind you how your heart was torn by disillusion. Seconds to show you.
set my heart free. Cause back to the bottom of this desperation. Turn to the news.
Hello, everybody.
Never had a chance to believe in something. Fight for the dream that will set my heart free. That's why that you created.
By all the dreams that you created. Back by all the wind.
Back to the bottom of this desperation. Turn to the news cause it owes me a favor. Never had a chance to believe in something. Fight for the dream that will set my heart free. Cause back to the bottom of this desperation. Turn to the news cause it owes me a favor. Never had a chance to believe in something. Fight for the dream that will set my heart free. Cause back to the bottom of this desperation. Turn to the news cause it owes me a favor. Never had a chance to believe in something. Fight for the dream that will set my heart free.
Oh man, let me get my fat ass settled right here. Because yes, I'm not immune. I'm getting fat like the rest of us, sitting at home doing shit. Hello, how are you? Well, I'm sure that was weird. None of that was planned. None of it. I actually was working on the fly remixing before I started, and I thought, let's just do it. I don't know. I was just in the mood. I was going to start with just the acoustic, and then I don't know why I decided to bring that in, but because those that are the synth pop, first two album type of people, you're going like, what the F? Who is this? What is this? Well, that, my friends, is Anything Box. The real Anything Box. The ones that can do anything all the time. Salute. There are a lot of people in the house. I see it. Facebook, YouTube. My gosh, I've got Periscope. Nice. Emilio's here. Thank you, Emilio, for tuning in. Jenny, thank you. This is the one you picked. Oscar, Fega, Pedro, Steve, you're in the house. Yay. Everyone's on board. It's awesome. So yeah, I decided I would start with the long version called 54. And That bit of video that you saw was actually, well, I can actually play that while I talk because I think I can do that. So this stuff right here, these are outtakes from the shoot. And these are some of the things that we made for that shoot. And I'm going to explain that, and we're going to talk about that a little bit and how this album changed my life. Because in a weird way it did. So, in case you're wondering, I lost my camera. So in case you're wondering, this is going to be themed on Elektrodelica. And I've got a lot of cool stuff to show you. Here, let me turn the lights up a little. There we go. So for this one, I may need my glasses, but so you know how I always show you that I have a notebook, and so far I think you've seen that every time I do one of these, I show you like the notebook that was involved with that record. Well, let me tell you, this record had three notebooks. I'm just being stupid. No, but seriously, I have 3 notebooks because some of the stuff that relates to Elektrodelica started to happen after the diary. So the tail end of the diary became the first inklings of what was going to come next. And quite honestly, if you don't mind me talking about it, one of the things that happened was that I was tired of the radio thing. Like, I was honestly tired of radio. I was thinking that if you release one type of song, you have to have 5 different remixes because radio station A won't play it. And then if you have this type of remix, radio station B won't play it. And I was in this mode where I was like, F radio, I don't care about radio. I was seeing the MP3 movement in its very slight beginnings, and I was knowing, in my heart, I knew it was going to happen. It was going to take over, and the Internet of Things was going to completely crush that monster that was the music industry. And it's getting ready to do it again, so I'm totally stoked on all of it. So anyway, so I thought I would play that weird I'm gonna throw everything at it remix. Drum and bass. I had my brother do some rapping on it. It was like, there was scratching, there was like all kinds of crazy stuff going on. So that was one of the first beginnings of, doing weird stuff, okay? But as it has always been my way, I reach out as far as I can go to see where that limit is, and then I bring it back into where I'm, more comfortable. But what's cool is that once you've stretched that limit a little bit, you can now do something that's out of character and no one will care. So of course now nobody would care because they've already had to experience this record, and this one was the weird one for sure. And it remains to this day one of my favorites. I'll tell you that right now. This was one of my favorite records to make. So I think the first thing I was going to show you, I gave some of it away, but so when the diary was done, that's this notebook. I have like all the different notes of, like how to market this and, what are we going to do? Who is it going to go to? Nobody's going to play it, sa. But inside, I had done some drawings. I think I posted some of these today, but I'll show you some more. So this is from my book. So some of these drawings were for an album that was coming next. So I was thinking that I was going to make a really strange record, and I had forgotten the title of it until I opened this book, and I realized that the album was going to originally be called Stillness, the Structure of Silence. That was going to be its name. That was its working title. And then my friend Rui visited, and we were still living in a different house, I think, when he came. And we went to go see, oh my God, it'll come to me. But we went to some movies. We got into a car accident. A bunch of crazy shit happened that made me change my mind about the name, and I wanted something more fun. Hence, the word came out as Elektrodelica. So I'm particularly happy that I found these drawings because I think I'm going to use them for something new. So that's kind of cool. I get to go back in time and collect certain things. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. Let's see, what else was I going to show you? Well, I'll get to it when I get to it, I guess. So I'm gonna get into the chat so I can say hi to most of you, and we can say hi. But I thought I would play something and get it out of the way because I know it's going to be one of those nights where everyone's like, oh, what is he going to play? So here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not playing the 45 video because the 45 video is pretty much on YouTube, so you can go watch it. So you heard the long version, the longest version just now. But the real thing is 45 seconds. And there was something, I think it's in here. Let me see if I can find it, because it's interesting. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll look through the book, because I made earmarks, so I should be able to find it quick. And I've got my glasses. I will need them to read my own writing, because there we go, nerd mode. And I'm okay with it. So I'm going to play a video. And now I can't see anything because it's all blurry. Ooh, what am I going to play? I think I'll start with this one. By the way, you're listening to songs from this album. And out of such horrid ugliness, sometimes comes something else. That's how life works, my friends.
Traces of who we used to be, and they say, how does it feel to know that you're real? How does it feel? How does it feel to know that you're real? How does it feel?
cut it off. Well, I hope it doesn't play again. I messed everything up, and I can't find my headphones, and I'm wearing them. Oh my God. Well, hopefully it doesn't play that other song again. But someone asked me the funniest question, so I'm going to answer it. And this is actually a good question. Someone said, how come you used an Information Society sample? I did not. Very rare that I'm going to sample another band's sounds. But when you get to a sound that we all may have used, that's a different story. For example, if I use an 808 and they used an 808 and so used an 808, then we all sound like we sampled each other. But in actuality, no, I don't tend to sample other people's stuff unless it's an old record from the 20s that I stuck on a turntable and did some weird scratching and stuff too. Then that's a different story. But a modern band, I would not be interested in sampling. Too telling if you do that. But that was a good question, Jose on YouTube. So feel free, by the way, to ask questions. But I was going to talk to you about this funny thing that I found. So about the video for 45, which was that. So what's written here is almost exactly what happens in the video, but I just thought I would read this to you because what had happened was I really wanted to do a video to that song, and there was no budget for it, and I actually wanted to do it on 35 millimeter film, and of course that was an impossibility. But I just want to read you my little script, which I wrote. In fact, here, you can actually see that I'm not lying and I'm showing you the real thing. So that was the original little thing. And so it says, these are just like basically 3 scenes because the whole song is 45 seconds long, right? So it says, a hand turns on an amplifier in the middle of nowhere. We hadn't found that yet. The amp is on a chair. As the beginning seconds of the song begins, the camera quickly follows the cable that leads to a shot of Paul's hand strumming the guitar and my face saying, I have 45 seconds to show you. Then back to the guitar. Back to Gary reading a comic book, but that was funny because that never happened. And it says in notes, it must be one of those indie ones, no mainstream crap. Various shots of the group, the desert is around us, Paul jumps around like mad, kicking up dirt. Gary just sits and reads. I'm singing with my mic in my hand, we're all wearing black, head to foot, even arms. I may even wear black gloves, which I did in the video. And the final shot, the one where the song, we hear the record skip, is the shot I must ponder. Although I kind of know what comes next, which is funny because that's pretty much almost what happened, except that we ditched the comic book reading bit. I'm sorry, hold on. I don't know that. I don't think we need to hear me with reverb. Hold on. So as it turned out, we wound up doing something completely different, but some of it stuck. And there was something else I was going to show you that was in here that I thought was really cool. Did I lose it? Man, I thought earmarked everything. Yeah, I found it. So, check this out. It's funny. So not only did I have ideas for like the video, but I had ideas for merch. So this was a dress we were going to make. Black with white and then just the letters. So that was one thing we were going to do. And then this is hilarious. So as you can see, that shot. So all these weird things that I had drawn in this book, we had to kind of make. Um, and we got lucky because some of the material came from a club that had closed that we were friends with. So I was able to take some pieces that they had and completely change them around. The funny thing that you see in the video, which is like swirling, I actually had to make that, hand paint it, and I mounted it to a fan so that it would spin. So that's how we did that. We actually had to rent a generator. It was a mess. It was a complete mess. But the miracle of that song and video was that was one of the early days of those chat forums. Why do I still hear reverb? It's so weird. I still hear it. Am I going nuts? Okay, that's better. Yeah, that's better. Cool. So, good question there, Eric. I will answer that one in a second. So, where was I? Oh, so it was the early days of the chat forums, like, because I was on AOL. There was no Facebook then. And from what I remember, MySpace came later. So this was like in that weird period where there was nowhere to go hang out online, really, except these chat rooms. So I wound up on a chat room that was for film buffs. And I remember just saying, like, hey, I want to make this video on 35 millimeter film. Is anyone interested in doing it? Have no budget, but the song's only 45 seconds long. So how bad could we make it, or whatever. And this guy wound up responding, and he worked for Fox Sports. And it turns out he's also the guy who made, who is following, not Biggie Smalls, the other rapper. It'll come to me. But yeah, he'd done all these weird little mini documentaries, and he was really cool. And we wound up meeting him at the Paramount movie studios, which when he gave me the address and everything and told me, drive up to the gate and say, look, I'm here to meet Peter. I'm a guest. The whole time we were on our way to Paramount, we actually thought the whole thing's a hoax. You realize once we get there, it's going to be fake. And we went all the way to Hollywood for nothing. And, this is all fake. And, sorry, I had to take those off. But as it turned out, when we arrived at the gate, they looked at the number or the names on the page. And they're like, yeah, go ahead, go right in. And we were like, I can't believe that a chat got us to Paramount Movie Studios. We're in Paramount Movie Studios. So we wound up talking to two gentlemen who were really cool. They got to see that page and a little napkin that I brought with me, and I redrew, that scene. And they basically said, all right, we'll do it. Let's just do it. And we planned it, and we did the shoot, and it's an amazing thing that we got away with it. To be honest, I think it's crazy, but we did. We got away with it. So, hey, I've got my nephew on board. Hey, Alex, how are you? Oh my God, I got my nephew watching. This is great. Hi, Denise. Hi, Adrian. Vega, Jackmo, Shane. Yes, I know. People are funny. It's not about peace tonight. I'm sorry, it's not. And I have to say this because it's almost like a disclaimer at this point. Every time I play something from Peace, the whole video gets silenced and shut down, and I have to sign forms and all this crazy shit. So until some contractual stuff is taken care of that I'm kind of working on in the background, don't expect to stream too much stuff from Peace. I just can't. It's too risky, and I don't want to lose the entire stream because of one song. If you really want to listen to that stuff, Spotify. It's still there. Hey, Mikey. So anyway, yeah, so that's what happened. We wound up doing this video with these two guys from Paramount. They brought this ginormous camera out. And I have to say, it reignited my interest in film, because up until that point, I didn't take a camera with me that much on the road. I wasn't really doing any filming. So once this was done, it's like I wanted to do more. So I started to think of things to shoot. And there was one video that we had in the queue that I wanted to do, and the rest of the band was like, I don't know about this. It sounds a little weird. And I was like, look, we're not going to even be in it. We're not even going to be real people in it, so it's going to be fine. And they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't help. So I remember I just kind of kept that song to the side. It wasn't actually until Universe came out that I went back and did the video for this song that I'm going to play next. And it's one of my favorite songs on that album. And we've only played it once, and that was in Illinois. I want to say that was Urbana. It was either Steve might remember, but I don't remember. But I think it was Urbana. And that was the only time we played the song. And it was because it was hard for them to figure out how we were going to do it. Even though it's such a simple song and it's only about 2 minutes, we couldn't figure it out. So, but anyway, the idea was I was going to find these miniature versions of us and have them star in a video. So that is where this guy comes from. So I know you've seen him before in the stream. This is Claude-Ba, of course, wearing a mask. Yeah, there we go. He's trying to be very politically correct, so he's wearing a mask. Whereas I am not. But yeah, so I made different versions of us, and I had to build these weird sets and all this crazy stuff. So anyway, I'm going to play that song next, and I'll read your questions. So I'm going to look at some of that stuff in the chat, which is over here, and then I'll come back. All right? Is that okay? Is that all right? It must be. It must be. I have no idea what I'm doing. I feel like I'm messing up. Yeah, because that song's going to play again. We don't want that. We want.
There's a sound I recall as I watch the trains. I remember how I felt so small, standing next to you. As I walked in the land where I couldn't speak, no one seemed to understand.
by the way, the ending of that song in the video, I was making fun of the ending of the Living in Oblivion video. So if you ever saw the Living in Oblivion video, in the end, it's Paul and I spinning around and I'm reading the paper. So I thought I would end that video exactly the same way, except I'd have the three robots doing the spin, which was not as easy as you think. I had to kind of do some finagling to get it to work. It wasn't just like, hey, spin a plate. It was like, all that stuff was not easy. Um, I remember that for the little guy, in order to get him to walk fast through the crowd as you see him walking, I had to build like a special skateboard like thing. And it was made so that I could put the camera on it and his feet would be just about touching the ground. So I would wind him up and then I would just basically, roll him around with the camera. So wherever he went, it would look like the camera was following his every move, but the camera was only like about a foot behind him. So that was fun. So we had a lot of fun doing that. Me and my daughter, because my daughter helped. And so yeah, so again, that album ignited the crazy, like, let's do anything we can do because we can do it bug. Which, let's see, I was going to show you something. Was it this? Well, we'll get into the cover a little bit too, but never when I need it. So this notebook is seriously damaged, but what I did find in here, probably not of interest to anyone. Everyone's like, what are you doing, man? Get on with it. So I had like these ideas for like the way the CD was going to open up into threes and all kinds of weird stuff. So just to show you some more pictures. So a lot of that stuff someone wrote, have to unsubscribe because I thought this channel was about anything box. Well, I don't know. What am I saying? Am I doing something wrong here? Ah, I don't know. Someone's mad at me. I don't know what I did though. But so yeah, so like a lot of, you know, goofiness that happened during that time. But so I wound up so the album wound up being long. But what I did enjoy about that record a lot was that I think we weren't afraid to try anything. So it was like a lot of late night sessions. Paul actually got to play more stuff on it, probably than he expected, which was cool. And we had people do backing vocals that normally would not have done backing vocals for us, like family, friends. And that was the first record, I believe, that my friend Dan was engineering. And it was fun because I could bounce ideas off of him and say, hey, like record me in that, you know. It's better when you have someone in the room with you. So that was kind of fun. So I loved it. But yeah, so it was a good record for us to like break out of the doldrums because we were feeling like nothing that we were trying was working. Like we weren't liking anything that was happening. So this was the first time we were actually able to like, you know, play something and like, oh, we like this. So there you go. So some people are funny. Okay, there's like drama going on over here. So Manuel on Facebook asks, do I have notes about the interview CD? Well, okay. I feel like I have to address this because it's funny. If you've been on this channel and you have heard some of the other streams, I have played demos, I have played remixes, I have played B-sides, I have played everything and anything that has to do with Anything Bucks because guess what? I am Anything Bucks. Shouldn't have to say it, but I guess some can't please everyone. I'm sorry. But um but anyway, I didn't expect drama tonight. So um yeah, so someone asked about the interview CD. No, it wasn't really that planned. But my friend Robert Sembro, who was in a band called Atomic Clock, um, he was the one that we chose to do the interview with, and he came over to my house and we recorded it. It was really awesome. Um, some B-sides, some old A-Box B-sides wound up on that record, and so it was fun actually to do an interview disc. But in the end, the way we cut it wasn't exactly how I would have liked. There was too much of an overlap between the voiceover and the actual song, so that kind of messed up the song if you queued it up. So that part I didn't like, but it was never intended to be a 2 CD thing anyway. It was just that was a limited edition, um, but yeah. So that album had controversy. So let's talk about that since we seem to have controversy on the stream. We might as well have controversy talk. So originally, I wanted there to be an angel on the cover, and I didn't know how I was going to really do this. So the idea was, basically something like this, um, and I showed you a photo. So check this out. So that used to be hanging on the studio wall in the old studio. And this was an angel that I'd seen in a store, and I took a picture of it through the window. If you can look at it, you can see what he's doing, right? He's like putting his finger up. I wound up using this for Worth later on, but basically I wanted an angel on the cover, and I took an innocent photo of my daughter, and I decided that would be the cover, and I guess some record stores wouldn't carry it because they felt it was too risque. And it was like, but it's just a kid, But I guess if the kid is a certain age, it just gets you in trouble. And I wasn't trying to do anything nefarious because it was my own daughter. But it caused some controversy. So the version that's on Spotify now and iTunes is a much different cover because it caused such controversy. For the Bandcamp version, when I finally re-release it, which I am going to do, I think I'm going to choose something completely different as the cover now, just to make sure that that's just not going to be an issue because I never intended to hurt anyone's feelings when I did it. I thought it was innocent. So, but it just shows that where our society was headed is that there are some weird situations where something could be taken the wrong way. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a big advocate that if someone is doing something wrong, I'm definitely going to be all over them. So when it comes to that stuff, especially anything to do with kids, I'd be all over them. But in this case, it was totally innocent, but I got attacked. Like it was crazy. Like some of the major chains wouldn't carry the record just because of the cover, and it was like, oh, come on, really? Like seriously? It's a cherub. It's an angel, for God's sake, and it's not doing anything sexual. God. But anyway, that's what happened. So Um, so that's the cover story. Um, but but it was like the oddest thing. Like I couldn't get my mind wrapped around it. But it passed. It's all good now. And the cover that's out there now is not as scary to some people, I guess, as the first one was. Um, and since then, I worked on a whole different version in Korea. I believe there's a whole different cover. I've never actually seen that release. It's out in Korea somewhere, but it's Elektrodelica made it out pretty far, considering. But so yeah, it was a controversial cover. So anyway, I'm gonna play another song from that era. Um, this one, let's see. Hold on. Ooh, I think I know which one. No, not that song. And not that one either. Actually, I should talk about this. I really should. Okay, I'm going to talk about this song. This was not a single, but it's one of my favorite songs on that album. And when we were at the mastering lab, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'm going to play you this song. It's made a whole bunch of different weird things change for me, and I'll get into that in a second when we come back. But this particular song is my favorite from Elektrodelica. It's one that I would like to play more often when we play out. It was hard to play, but we did manage to do it. And I have one show where I happened to get a pretty darn good recording out of it. And of course, it appears on the live thing that we just put out on Bandcamp. Plug Bandcamp. Bandcamp. Kidding. But when we were at the mastering lab, and the guy that was mastering Elektrodelica, because I didn't do it, we actually went to a special lab. He had done Hope, and he liked it, but it wasn't his kind of music. He was this mastering engineer that was used to people like Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and people like that. So he wasn't really used to like Pet Shop Boys, Depeche Mode, or anything like that. So to him, it was like, it's cool, whatever, I'm doing my job. You're paying me. It's all good. But when he heard this song, he turned around and he just surprised me because he was always very stoic. And he turns around and he's like, you need to make this a single. This has to be a single. This is a radio. This is like a classic track. And I'm like, what? Like, I just couldn't believe that was coming out of his mouth. It's different if a friend of yours tells you, but it's weird when it's someone that, is like completely unconnected, right? So he's like, yeah, I don't know. That's a classic. You gotta do something with that. So this is the only song we did. No remixes, was not a single. We didn't do anything to make it a single. And again, years later, I thought I should make a video for this song since I have some footage, and I put it together. Still one of my favorites. So I'm going to play that song, then I'll come back, and I'll show you some other stuff, and I'll look at the chat meanwhile you watch. So I guess you'll know what song this is.
I stumbled on a hill
got some good questions to answer. But before I do, I just want to say something about that recording and all that. So that was El Paso. That was at Club 101. My good friend Marcelo was filming, and he sent me the videotape, and I cut it up, and I wanted to make a video of it. And there are two interesting samples on that song that are really important. The one towards the end, the one that goes wah 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 wah, is actually John Sonnenberg's modular. The one time that he, I don't even think he brought it over because that thing was huge. I think I was at his house, and we hooked up my portable DAT to it, and we were tripping out, making noises, and I sampled some of it. And so that wound up becoming an important part of that song for me because it was like that little weird scratching sound. And then the record scratch at the beginning was from a record that I found in a bin that was like 20 cents or something like that. And I bought it because it was all scratched up and I knew I would get that perfect sample, which is funny because I was talking to John yesterday about that very aspect of sampling that I love sampling off vinyl. So that's funny because I like the crackles and the lo-fi-ness. Um, so yeah. So then Lalo asked on Facebook if Danya had contributed to Elektrodelica, and the answer to that question is very little because she left right before we were starting. So, it was one of those things where she wanted to do other things. She wasn't happy with the direction we were going in at the time, so she left. And the three of us were basically left holding the other two were left holding the reins. And that's when Paul came in, and so it became, me, Gary, and Paul. And before that, it was Danya, Gary, and I. And before that, it was me, Danya, and Paul. And so the only constant in all of that is me. I'm always in there somewhere. So this other person asked me if I'm more like Trent Reznor, and like with one, that where I'm the one person and the other people are coming in all the time. I don't really see it that way, because when they were in, I felt like uh, they were like my family. So I never, at least I hope I never came off that way with them. But I am very obsessive, and I am very tunnel visioned as to the things I want. So I guess that could be taken that way. But no, when we were three, we were three. I never said, "Hey, you're just an employee," or I never had that attitude. But and I love them all to this day. So I don't know. An A Boxer Union could be like a really weird band if you think about it. Like we had a lot of people come in and go, but no, I wouldn't say that I'm like Trent Reznor. But that was a good question. Um, but Kathy on YouTube says, I think that's why we're all such loyal fans. The songs have such memories with them for everyone. I hope so. It was funny. I saw this thread. I'm not going to say where it was because I sometimes I'll do an obnoxious post and I'm just being obnoxious. I'm not trying to cause trouble, but I guess I'm a troublemaker. But I saw this post and it was one of those funny where this music marketing company was saying, what is the goal for your music? And every person that was on that thread was like, either to sell 1 million records or, to make the best quality music that I can to, blah, blah, blah. And it was like a lot of these kinds of career oriented answers. And my answer was, I'm hoping that my music will either break your heart or put a smile on your face. Either of the two will work. And I thought I was just being funny, but I guess it was a good answer because then they started following me, so that's good. But my goal is never to. I'm not trying to piss anyone off. It's not my goal. I may inadvertently, I'm gonna do things that certain people don't like. I'm gonna do things that this crowd likes and that crowd doesn't. I'm multifaceted in that way, um, and there's plenty of old stuff for everybody to like, so I don't have to like keep rehashing the same thing. Um, so, aw, someone says their daughter goes. Oh, Shane, my daughters want to sleep with you music every night. They start with dun 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 dun. That's so funny, and then end up with when we lie. That's awesome. So don't know if you know this, Shane, but I did the extended version of When We Lie, and it's on Bandcamp. So see, I do showcase old stuff, but it's just that, and just to clear this up, I'll get away with it once in a while, and I'll play some of the stuff from Peace, especially the demos and stuff. I can play that all day long. That's my stuff. I can do it. But the stuff that was released on Peace is a little more difficult because they get testy. Although that reign is going to end soon, so when it does, they won't be able to do that anymore. It's just, I guess, they're going to hold on to that last thread of hope that they have control over it, but they won't. I'll own it all again. So, and when I do, oh man, I'll have like a streaming channel of that stuff just going. You'll get sick of it quick, trust me. Um, so anyway, so yeah, that was Heaven 60. It was based on a dream that I had. Um, I've been having a lot of those lately too. Those weird, surrealistic dreams where I see people I don't know and I interact with them, and I don't know, they give me messages. So in this particular one, um, it had to do with my dad's passing. So that's why the song is special to me. But it was based on some weird dream I had. But interpretation's open because once it's down on paper and once it passes paper to record, it's done. I'm no longer involved. It becomes your song, not my song anymore. So, so I'm going to play a song that's on Elektrodelica that we've only played once that I'm aware of live. Um, and this particular time that we played it, we got a recording of it. Um, and it happened to be in New York City, which is another bonus because we didn't play New York City that much. And we wound up doing Elektrodelica in New York City, which was a lot of fun. And it's funny because this video you're going to see, it's not on YouTube. I've never shown it to anybody, so no one's ever seen it. It's one of these new things that I've been going through the old tapes and transferring them over. So this is kind of a treat if you like the song. But I was going to show you something about that. Oh, the New York thing. Yeah. I'm having trouble tonight speaking. Sometimes I have trouble. This is funny. I'm switching to black and white for this. I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. I'm going to read you a poem. So, unbeknownst to most of you, I grew up in the East Coast. So there have been times where I really just loathe LA and I want to be in New York City. And so I would have these funky dreams about going to New York City. So I love New York City. Although right now New York City doesn't look very nice, I'm afraid to say. It doesn't. But I wrote this poem, and this poem was going to be on Elektrodelica. So that like Elektrodelica was literally going to have a spoken word section. That's how crazy that album was. And in the end, I decided against it. I never showed it to the others, never did anything with it, but it's in this book. It was going to be in there. So I would like to read this poem, if I may. It's just called New York. So I'm going to read it and hopefully not mess it up, because reading my own handwriting is not that cool. But anyway, if you saw it, you would know what I mean. New York. Icy spasms drew themselves upon my back. The cold air was simply too much to bear, so I sunk deeper into my flesh. I felt my place in the world just then, as my eyes focused on an old man who sat on a bench. I imagined angels descending as I often do, dreaming up a lyric with a melody or two. But now I thought of a wrinkled face, no doubt long ago worn by all the displeasures of fate. A woman sat next to him, holding a child. I surmised it was hungry and cold. The bus would soon arrive, and gone they would be. My mind was already racing beyond them happily. To my ears came the sound of a violin being played. Through the swirling chaos it found me listening, and I understood the notes perfectly as they pleaded for mercy at his feet. There was a black man with a small tin cup. I recognized him. It was Mozart, reincarnated, trapped against his will. Surrounded by the smell of trash, forced to play for petty cash. Still the music flowed slightly off kilter. I felt myself wishing I was a conductor. A tear fell from my eyes, though not from pity. The wind had picked up, sweeping the icy air into my face. I thought about how much I love these human races. Two skinheads jostled each other verbally, their swastikas and anarchy patches in full view. I smelled a warm scent of fresh baked bread as a dog did his bidding against a 5-story wall. I watched the liquid trickle to the curb. I smiled and wondered why I felt so warmed. A painting of the sun caught me in a sudden flash. A row of them, in fact, painted by a Russian man. I didn't imagine this because he told me so. Spoke of his images with pride, even though he sold not a single one. They were quite good, I'll admit that. When I told him this, he was so animated, he became an object of art himself. I knew I would remember him more than his multicolored canvases. So strange to feel this now as I sit warmed by the glow of my new California sun. How I miss home sometimes. The violin fades. The violin fades as I cross the street. I felt the buildings as if giants were all around me. A young man took a photo of his family, asked me to snap one so that he could be in it. After the photograph in a gallery, as I wandered, I saw a sculpture of a man waiting for a bus, and suddenly I felt my place in the world again. Funny that I should feel that now, looking back, here, under my new California sun, thinking about how much I miss home. So that would have been on the album. Can you imagine if I had put that on the album? Like how weird that would have been. Like, so it was a weird record, which is why it's one of my favorites, because it's weird. It's a weird record. So I'm going to play that song that we played in New York, and the song is called Dirt, and there are no other recordings of this, so this is what it is, right? So I'm going to play that now. Well, maybe. It's really cool, so much. It's a very emotional thing to be back in New York. Awesome. This next song is also new. It's called Dirt. Aw, someone in Facebook said, Dirt is the song that got me through some tough times. Thanks, Claude. Great song. Thank you. Thank you, Manuel. That's nice to hear. It's nice that it's not just the poppity poppity ones that do it. I'm glad it's some of the others. But so yeah, that was Dirt. Uh, and that was recorded at the Bank in New York City. And again, that show is emotional to watch. I watched some of it today when I was trying to figure out what song from there I was going to play, because that at that show was my mom and my grandma, and after this, I actually never saw my grandmother again. So that one is dear to me. You know, the show was dear to me because my grandmother was actually there, and that my grandmother never went to any of the shows, so that was like incredible. So I'm happy that that exists. I think I will wind up putting that video by itself on YouTube. Uh, should I? Should I do that? I think the quality is kind of sketchy, but I guess Oh, someone said Carmen was their wedding song. That's nice to know too. That's awesome. Um, so I'm going to. We're chugging along. So we're talking about Elektrodelica, the weird record that most people, didn't know. Like it hit them weird, and like for some people, I understand. They were like, "This is not synth pop," and there was some moments that are not, but there are moments that are. I'm gonna probably end the thing with the two moments that are, but I want to play another song from Elektrodelica that was um, also one of my favorites. This one, what I remember the most is that um, the album was practically finished. We were done, and there was really no more to do. But this came out of nowhere. It was like one of those songs that comes out of left field, and I knew exactly what to do. I knew exactly what I was going to record and how it was going to sound. And I remember just telling everyone that the chorus has to be like everyone that we know. So we invited all sorts of people to come to the studio and record the end. So my family's there, kids, cousins. Um, there were some neighbors, friends of mine, members of other bands. I want to say Keith Milo was there. Um, and that's where Danya came and sang also. So she's on this. But my daughters are on it. It's like a lot of people at the end. Um, this was like my little ode or my little ode, I guess, to Nirvana at the time, because I was kind of enjoying that. Let me say why, first of all, because everybody kind of takes that the wrong way. Um, I was never into hair metal. And what I want to say about that is I don't mean like good heavy metal. I'm talking about the pop hair metal, the stuff that to me was like pop music, but it was just now pretty boys with weird, makeup trying to be like the guys in NSYNC but with long hair. Like that kind of stuff. It didn't appeal to me. I never got into it. On the rock side of things, I was into Deep Purple. I was into Van Halen when Van Halen was really hard. I was into like Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, like more of the early heavy metal that was more churn, 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 churny, and dark. Um, so that kind of stuff. It's funny. Someone just said, "You Shane." So why did you make When We Lie? I love poppy stuff. I love pop in one sense. What I don't like is senseless pop. And so to me, the hair metal bands were like, It was the same like, hey baby, I love you, you love me, let's go. I don't know, whatever the heck it is. I just wasn't into it. So when Nirvana came out, I also saw it as pop, but I saw that as, oh, but there's meaning behind these lyrics, and I liked that aspect of it. I like that there was meaning behind the songs. So this was my little ode to them. I'm gonna read comments while I play the songs because there's no video to this. I just want to play it. So this is technically, I want to say it's second to last or something on the album. I don't remember the running order here, but I know that it was like track 13 or something. Pop song. And I'll just read your comments.
This is nothing more than a few words, simple gestures that you've probably heard. Even when it seems we have nothing, all we really need is to self-love. Did you ever feel people were wrong, pointing fingers and stumbling along? Even if you thought they were nothing, all they really needed was self-love. When your soul is tired, come out to play. Take whenever you've something to say. Even when my song tells you nothing, all you really needed was self-love.
It was Steve that asked this question, but I'm sure it's a question that some people may have. But because I struggled with a label, why would I go back and do a label with an independent? The answer to that is really simple. It's economics. I didn't have the money to put a record out. Um, there was no crowdfunding then. There was not a way of doing that. Um, and quite frankly, my early relationship with Jarrett Records was very good. Um, and I liked the direction we were going with all of it. Um, I think it got complicated in the end because I had to take on more roles than I probably wanted to. Um, and my nature is it's hard for me to say no sometimes, or it's gotten easier for me more recently, but it was hard to say no. And so for me, it was one of those situations where after a while, I just felt like there was too much workload on my side, and to be in a band and to oversee like other artists asking me questions and things. So it fell apart, but it wasn't terrible, meaning it didn't fall apart where everyone hates each other. It just fell apart where like we're not going to do this anymore the way that we've been doing it, because obviously David Jarrett and I are still friends. Everything's cool. No, there's no animosity on my side at whatsoever. It was a good time. It just wasn't the right thing for me to do in the end. And I'll say this because he's brought it up many times. We also saw the rise of the MP3 culture before there was iTunes, and so it was that sort of weird thing like, how are we going to maintain a label with 5 artists and none of them are making money? Those are real world questions at the time, and it wasn't feasible. So, but I can't say that I ever felt like I was stifled or that my artistic side was stifled, because it wasn't. It wasn't the same experience as being on Sony at all. It was completely polar opposite of that. Um, but I learned. That's how you learn, and you learn. This is what I want. This is what I don't want. And someone asked me, "How long have you been doing music?" Man, it's been over 30 years now. So you would think I would know what I want now. So yeah, back then the label thing was still something that you could really pursue, because it was, if you get enough money, you can record, you can do videos, you can do all this stuff. Today, honestly, if push came to shove, I'd work in McDonald's or something for 5 months, raise the cash, and I'd still do it by myself. Um, because I know, like, that's the worst case. For me, I know what I would want. So if I make a deal with someone to put something out, it's usually now more, I do it with friends, and friends who have labels, or you know or labels that I like, that come to me and ask me something like, "Hey, I want to do a 12-inch of this. What do you think?" If it's feasible, I'll do it. But there's no real point in these days, except for you know certain situations. And I'll throw the vinyl word out there. Vinyl is one of those situations. Although, my opinion of vinyl is changing. If you've been watching my streaming, you're realizing that I've been the one that says no, 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 no to vinyl, and now I'm starting to become a little warmed by it. But my reason is actually pretty good, and it's one that I had a really nice conversation with my friend John again the other day, and we were talking about vinyl, and something really did dawn on me, and we talked about it. He mentioned that vinyl as a medium, you can still play it 100 years from now, whereas maybe digital things might not be playable, because the technology will have evolved to a certain point that, let's say, 100 years from now, whatever computing system they're using, they may not even recognize what an MP3 is, or how to access that file type. But as you know, a vinyl record, you could put a needle into a paper cup, put it on the record, and you'll still hear the music. You can actually get music off the record by just putting a needle in a cup. Um, so, and if you take a needle, a cup, and a contact mic and connect it to a speaker, guess what? You just made yourself a really crazy mono record player out of a needle and a cup. So you can, with low tech, unearth a 200-year-old vinyl and be able to play it, and that actually has an appeal to me on some level. So I'm once again not ruling vinyl out. Um, so one never knows. Um, one may see vinyl yet from the ABOX side, and it might not be strictly on just my side. It might be with someone, or it might be on my side and with other people. Who knows? We'll see. I'm becoming more open to the idea. And then I know Robert's watching, because he spoke up a little earlier, and I know I gave him a hard time like a week ago. We were talking about vinyl, and I think I gave him a really hard time. And again, I always reserve the right to change my mind, or to think I was wrong. I'm okay with that. Being wrong is not a horrible thing. Um, in fact, sometimes I welcome it. Being wrong gives you opportunities to do the right thing every time. So I'm never gonna be like, oh no, if I have to be right. I don't care about being right. Um, I care about good ideas. That I do care about, and I care about efficiency and good reasoning behind it. So vinyl could happen because of that. So this song that I'm going to play, these last two, because we're coming up on it. Um, these last two are the softer, more orchestral side of Elektrodelica. Not everything was grimy and weird. There was some stuff that was really soft and very electronic. Um, but this song in particular holds a special memory for me because I remember we were in the studio and I wanted the ocean. And I said to the guys, like, I think we need the ocean coming in, and I want it to go all through the song, and it would be awesome if we could fade it in, fade it out, and do all this cool stuff. And they're like, well, what are we gonna do? And so I said we should pack up the DAT machine, take our two microphones, go out to the ocean because we live in California now. So I said, let's go out to the ocean, record the ocean for a while, and then we'll come home and mix that in. Now, the problem is that it was about 1 o'clock in the morning. So we were going to be out in the ocean at around, 1:30 in the morning. You're not allowed to be on the ocean at that time. And all the weirdos are out in that time. But we got lucky and we were able to record the ocean for a good 15 minutes until the cops came. And, they stopped us and they asked me what are you guys doing? And I'm like, look, we're just recording the ocean for 10 minutes and then we're going to leave. And they're like, what is all this stuff? Because they could see the equipment. We had like mics set up and all this stuff. But they were nice about it. They let us go. They let us record. They're like, we'll come back in 15 minutes. You got to be gone, because there's curfew. You can't be out here. So we recorded the ocean waves. We came back and we took the two recordings we made because we actually made two recordings of the ocean. So we played them and out of phase from each other. So the waves do not just panning, but there's like some swishing sound that happens because you're putting certain things out of phase for the techies. Sorry, I'm just reading your comments here. I missed a few. So someone said, I didn't know that about records. Kathy on YouTube. Yeah, it's a funny thing. So if you have kids and you ever want to like go buy an old record because you don't want to do this with a new record and try what I said. Just pop a needle in the cup and put it right on there and you'll hear the music. It's crazy. So, and someone just gave me a hug. Nice, thank you. I needed it. And Hidden Souls mentioned Mesh. Funny story about Mesh. I'll talk about the Mesh story when I come back. I'm gonna play this song, and I'm gonna read your comments, and we'll come back. I'll answer your questions. Okay. Thanks for being here with me tonight. I mean, it's been a weird week. When I come back from this song, we'll talk about the week, and no one's mentioned anything that's going on in their lives either, like they normally do. It's like everyone's paying attention tonight, and I'm like, no, don't pay attention. So I don't know. It's just me, but I'm gonna play the song. It's called Autumn. If I can find it.
We all tend to die. silver hearts, replace the things that hurt to create something. Nothing becomes something. Nothing becomes something.
Ah, cut it off. I don't know how I did that. How did I cut off? I don't know what happened there. Oh, I know why I cut off. Ah, should have put a fade on that. Um. So yeah, the real sound of the sea, and those were the real chimes that I had in the studio, which I made. I made those chimes. They got lost. I wish because the ones that I have up here, um, they're, commercial. They're like I bought them somewhere. But I had chimes that I had made myself, and they were made out of these really weird thin pieces of aluminum, and they weren't hollow. They were solid, and they were all weird shapes. And I love that thing. I don't know what happened to it. I've never been able to find it. But each one was kind of tuned weird, and so whenever I needed like chime sounds, I would just like, and then record them. So that was the song we put them on there. So Mikey's trying to hint here, so I'm just gonna like not don't type it, Mike. But so Mikey and I are gonna work on a 12-inch, and I'm gonna do a 12-inch with Mikey, and he's gonna release like something. We're gonna do something, and so we're gonna have um, I don't know. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but we're gonna do something, and it'll be on a record, and so if you have never heard Elektrodelica, I would say give it a shot now, because it's really weird how it was originally called, an exhibition for a time capsule. It was supposed to be something I open up, you know, 20, 30 years later and listen to it again and see what I think about it, like how does this relate? And remarkably, to me, it holds up for myself, for me as a person. I don't know how it feels to other people, but for me, it holds up. So when I listen to it now, it literally can take me back to every single moment. I remember every moment of recording that record, and how much fun it was for me, even though there was sad things, because yes, Danya had left. Yes, my grandmother had died. Um, shortly after, but it's that weird. I think my timing is off there, because I know we played New York and my grandmother was there, but did we play it before we released it? I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about that. But I could swear that my grandmother had passed by then, or maybe Oh, I know. I'm thinking of Universe for that. Yeah, she had passed by Universe. Um, but yeah, we were on a new label. Donya had left, Paul had returned, which was cool because we had Paul back, and Paul was coming back as a guitarist, so that was cool. We had like all this positive stuff going on with it, so it wasn't not a negative record at all. Um, Even 45, if you look at the song lyrics, they're not. It's not really negative. It's saying, we need empathy. So I believe that some of those things still hold true, but that's just me. That's I can say that because I'm the guy who did it, so I can say, oh yeah, but it would be whoever listens to it today. I make music for it to be heard. So once I've made it, it's out in the world. My friend John said the same thing. He makes music for people to listen to it. The commercial success of it, I mean, I'd love it if millions of people heard it and loved it, but I can't please everyone. So, I can't say that every record's going to be the one that's got all these cool hits on it. I think I did my fair run of that with the first 3 records. I would say that I did that. But one never knows, you know. So I'm gonna play one more from the album, which is a closer. And Hidden Souls from Argentina is reminding me that I should talk about Mesh. Well, the Mesh story is funny. So I had a really crappy stereo in my car, um, really crappy, and Mesh sent me a tape, and it was a cassette, and it had In This Place Forever, and it was basically the Fragile EP but on cassette, and I loved it. And apparently my car loved it because it wouldn't spit it out. It kept going from side A to side B, back to side A, back to side B. It would never eject. No matter what I do, it would not eject this cassette. So for months, all I could listen to was that Mesh tape. So I got used to it. And so of course when Jarrett Records was being formed, and he was going to re-release Hope as I was working on Elektrodelica, I said to David, I was like, I have this band that whose tape is stuck in my car, and I think that the only way he was able to hear them was when he was in California in my crappy car with my crappy stereo, because we couldn't eject the stupid tape. But he loved them, and obviously we both did. And that was the first group that we took on. And I really wanted them to come to the US and do really well because I liked them a lot. And then in Europe, of course, they became huge. They did great in Europe. Not so much in the US, but still, they're a great band, and they did really good music. So that made me really happy. And then, of course, from the Chicago side, we had Seven Red Seven, which were friends of ours, and I definitely pushed Seven Red Seven on David Jarrett. So it was one of those I think he definitely went after Seven Red Seven more, but I know Mesh was definitely me. But I know that I kept yes, yes, yes. I want Seven Red Seven too, and then. So those were the two that I was the most proud of, and so I forget where I was going with this. Oh, so I got to play with Mesh in Texas, which was really cool. We did a Texas run, um, and then I went to go see them when they played with one of my other favorite bands that I wish had gone on the label with us, but I couldn't get that to happen, which was at the time Forgiving Iris, which, I love Iris, as you know. So it would have been nice if they were also our label mates at the time. But what was really cool was that I got to see Iris and Mesh play in Los Angeles, and I went to go see them. So all sorts of love on that level. Love that band, and I'm happy that they did well because I really like them. I think they were very talented. But I absolutely love the Fragile EP. That's my favorite to this day. And of course, I love Iris. So maybe one day Reagan and I will do something. I'm still holding out for something funky to happen. There's only a few people in this world that I would collaborate with. So he's on one of those people. So I talked to him a few days ago too. So if you're listening, hi Reagan. So I'm going to play Need, which is the one I was going to play, and then I'm going to come back and say goodbye, but I want to look at the comments that I see here. So I'm going to switch camera moments and play a different song.
Under the spell of words, always there, trying to remind me of what and who I am. All I need is high on a sea of stars, shining down, trying to remind me of tears will catch when it all comes crashing down. A loving face that tears away the frown. Somebody who needs to leave is all I need. And all I need plays on my soft machine like a child trying to remind me of what and who I am.
Uh-oh. Something happened that wasn't supposed to happen. No! Shoot, how do I get it back? Something went wrong right there, and I don't know what I did, but I can't play the... Ah. The one song I wanted to play, I can't play. Shame. For shame! So anyway, I think I'm going to end it there because it's a good one to end on. But I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. It's just a hang. I hope we're having fun. Someone asked me a funny question. I'm gonna read this comment because it's weird. Not weird in a bad way. Just don't know how my politically incorrect or correct answer is going to come out. I think, Jessica on Facebook, you're asking me if I like division or camouflage, or if they're to my liking. The answer is yes, they're both to my liking. Although I kind of like camouflage more than I like division, but that's just me. Um, I watched Division in Los Angeles, and they were quite good. I do enjoy that stuff, so yeah, of course. Um, I don't know that I don't like to do the I like this band better than this band thing because I think that I have different relationships with all the different music. So I don't think that I because sometimes I like really weird music that nobody likes, but I have a certain relationship with certain songs. So that's important. But so someone help me out. Next Friday is what? What's the date next Friday? Um, I guess I could check. No, I don't want to check the calendar because I might crash everything. Because I've got all these cameras rolling, and I know the minute I open up another program, something could kill. But it's important to me. So next Friday is what? Are we at? Where are we at? So next Friday is the 23rd, and that means will we make Halloween then? Hmm. We're gonna have to have a Halloween event. I don't know what. I'm gonna do something for Halloween on this stream. I am doing a Halloween thing. So obviously we can't do the 23rd. That's too early. But if the 30th falls on a Thursday, we're doing the holiday. Oh, someone said Friday is October 30th. Ooh, nice. That's perfect. So next Friday we'll do like a normal quarantine stream, whatever that means. Whatever normal is for a quarantine stream. Um, I'll tell you what, because a lot of people asked for like a lot of different things tonight that I've already played, but I guess you guys don't mind hearing the same thing more than once. So this is what we'll do. Tell me if you think this is a good idea. Um, Next week, I'm just going to play your requests. So if you give me, it doesn't have to be, well, yeah, do it in the comments, especially on YouTube because I could use them. But put your whatever you want to hear next week, whatever like you want to hear unearthed, whatever question about a song you've got, I might play that song or the demo of that song or whatever it is, and that's what we'll do next week. But the 30th, I'm gonna do a Halloween thing, so expect the unexpected. I kind of have some ideas already. It's gonna be good. No fair, because I was gonna play that. That was gonna be my ending, but now it's like I don't know. I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna see if I can pull this off. If I can pull it off, I'll play it. But I got a feeling that it's gonna be weird. Let me try it. I'm gonna keep talking while you're watching that weird graphic. but my goal is to see if I can pull this song in. Oh man, where did it go? I don't see it at all. Well, just keep watching the mesmerizing screen. If you can hear me, you're probably like, what the F is he talking about? Yeah, that'd be it. I don't know that it's going to play though. Why isn't it playing? You guys hear that? So I was able to play it, but not in the way that I wanted. But for whatever reason, the video wouldn't load before. But what I wanted to show you guys, I'm going to switch to color here, was if you look at the animation at the end, it's actually this. This is the original. It's just a piece of normal paper, and I drew on it with a ballpoint pen. And then later I cut all these up in the computer and I animated them. That was my first animation I ever made, was on that song. So that was my very first animation. It was like, I think I can do this. So I've done more since then, but this was my first. And that song appears on this. It appears on this video game, which it was also part of. And I still can't play it. Sorry, James, I can't play this video game yet because I don't have a PS4. But someday I will have a PS4 and I will play this game. Because the animation in this game is unbelievable that was done to that song. So I definitely wanted to have you guys, Anyway, I have one more. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it off, but if I can't, I'm sorry, because the minute I finish that song, I'm going to black. How we began is how we will end. Semi-live. I want to say thank you to all of you. I hope you have an amazing evening. The game is called Jupiter and Mars. And with that and this last song, I will say good night. I'm going to switch to overhead. I think we'll go into moon mode. Nah, I think we'll just leave it. We'll just leave the overhead. And after that, I am out of here. But I love you guys, and thank you for hanging out with me. Let's do this. I have 54 seconds to show you how your heart was torn by disillusion, trapped by all the whims that you created, shaking with a fear. Give way to the sun, it will remind you there'll be better days when you'll be smiling. Stop the apathy before it swallows us. Am I just the same? We need empathy. Do you believe me? We need empathy. Time to retrieve it. We need empathy. I really want it. Give me anything, however small. Good night.
I'm part of it. Can't you see it?